The foghorn's mournful wail echoed across the rocky cliffs of Port Haven, Maine, as Clara Marsden raised her glass of sparkling cider at her daughter Lily's engagement party. The lighthouse keeper's cottage, aglow with fairy lights and filled with the scent of sea salt and cedar, buzzed with the warmth of 50 guests. Clara's voice, steady despite the weight of the moment, carried over the chatter. To love, to new journeys, and— she paused, her eyes scanning the room. To my husband, Henry, who loved this lighthouse as much as I do. The room stilled, glasses clinking softly in a toast to Henry, who had passed just a week prior. Clara's heart ached, but her smile held firm. Across the room, her brother-in-law, Vincent, leaned against the stone fireplace, his expression unreadable. At 45, he was a decade younger than Clara, with the same sharp jawline Henry had, but none of his warmth. Vincent had always been the charming one, the one who breezed into Port Haven for holidays, regaling everyone with tales of his corporate conquests in Boston. But Clara knew better. Henry had confided in her about Vincent's reckless investments, his tendency to bend the truth for personal gain. Tonight, though, Vincent's presence felt heavier, his gaze lingering on her with an intensity that set her nerves on edge. As the applause faded, Vincent stepped forward, his polished loafers clicking on the hardwood floor. "Clara's right," he said, his voice smooth as the whiskey in his hand. "Henry loved this lighthouse, and I have something to share." He reached into his jacket, producing a crisp envelope. "Before he passed, Henry gave me this letter. He wanted me to take over the lighthouse and its land, said it was time for a new vision." The room erupted in murmurs. Lily, standing beside her fiancé, Ethan, looked confused, her brow furrowing as she glanced at Clara. Clara's chest tightened. The lighthouse wasn't just a building, it was her home, her life's work. For 20 years she and Henry had maintained its beacon, restored its weathered walls, and turned the keeper's cottage into a community hub. Vincent, on the other hand, had visited sparingly, always complaining about the damp and the isolation. Clara's mind raced to a memory from a month ago when Henry, frail but clear-eyed, had handed her a small, tarnished tin box. "Don't open this until the time feels right," he'd said, his voice raspy but firm. Inside, she'd found a notarized deed transferring the lighthouse property to her, dated a year earlier. It was already hers, removed from Henry's estate to avoid disputes. Vincent's announcement made no sense unless he was lying. "Congratulations, Vincent," Clara said, her voice calm but edged with steel. She forced a smile, though her pulse pounded. "That's unexpected." She caught Lily's eye, then Ethan's, both watching her with concern. "If you'll excuse me, I need a moment." She slipped through the crowd toward the kitchen, her hands trembling as she closed the door behind her. The letter Vincent had waved looked wrong. Henry's handwriting had grown unsteady in his final months, his arthritis making every stroke a labor. The signature she'd glimpsed was too bold, too precise. Her phone buzzed with a text from Lily. "Mom, what's going on? Vincent never cared about the lighthouse." "You okay?" Clara replied quickly. "Need to check something at home. Tell everyone I'm stepping out for air." Lily's response was immediate. "Got you. Be careful." Clara grabbed her coat and slipped out the back door, the cold Atlantic breeze biting her cheeks as she hurried to her small cottage across the cliff path. The lighthouse loomed above, its beam cutting through the fog, a constant in her life since she and Henry had moved here. They'd spent countless nights on its gallery, watching storms roll in, sharing dreams of preserving this historic site. Vincent had never understood its pull, dismissing it as a relic, unfit for modern times. Inside her cottage, Clara retrieved the tin box from her bureau. Her fingers brushed the cool metal, steadying her as she opened it. There it was, the deed, notarized and unambiguous, naming her the sole owner. Beside it, a letter in Henry's shaky scrawl. "My dearest Clara," it began. "If you're reading this, I'm likely gone. The lighthouse is yours, as it always should be. You've poured your heart into it as I have. Vincent may try to claim it. He's always wanted what wasn't his. But the deed is filed, legal and binding. Trust yourself to protect our legacy." Clara's eyes stung with tears. Henry had known Vincent's nature, had anticipated this betrayal. Another item caught her eye, a second envelope, sealed, with Vincent's name in Henry's handwriting. Her breath caught. What had Henry left for his brother? Her phone buzzed again. "Vincent." "Nice exit, Clara. Don't worry, you can visit the lighthouse when I'm not using it." The audacity fueled her resolve. She tucked the box under her arm and headed back to the party, the fog wrapping around her like a shield. Henry's words echoed in her mind. "The truth doesn't need to be loud, Clara. It just needs to be clear." Back at the keeper's cottage, the crowd had thinned to family and close friends. Vincent stood by the fireplace, basking in congratulations from Lily's future in-laws. Clara entered quietly, setting the tin box on the oak table at the room's center. Lily rushed to her side, whispering, "Mom, what's in there?" "Something Henry left me," Clara said, loud enough for all to hear. She met Vincent's gaze, noting the flicker of unease in his eyes. "He gave it to me a month ago, said to open it when the time was right. I think that's now." Vincent's smile tightened. "What's this, Clara? Some sentimental trinket?" She opened the box, revealing the deed and Henry's letter. "A year ago, Henry transferred the lighthouse to me. It's already mine, legally, not part of his estate." She laid the documents on the table, her voice steady. "This is Henry's real handwriting. Compare it to your letter, Vincent." Lily's fiancé, Ethan, a local attorney, picked up the deed, examining it closely. "This is notarized, dated last year. It's legitimate." He took Vincent's letter, holding it beside Henry's. The difference was stark. Henry's shaky script versus Vincent's smooth forgery. The room fell silent. Lily's hand found Clara's, squeezing tightly. Vincent's face paled. "This is absurd," he stammered. "Henry gave me that letter. He wanted me to have it." Clara's sister-in-law, Margaret, spoke up, her voice sharp. "Vincent, did you forge Henry's signature?" Vincent's silence was damning. He shifted uncomfortably, avoiding the gazes of Lily, Ethan, and the handful of relatives still present. "You don't understand," he said finally, his voice low. "Clara always had Henry's ear. She got everything. The lighthouse, his trust. I just wanted something of his too." "Something you never cared about," Clara said, not unkindly. You visited twice in 10 years, Vincent. You called this place a money pit. Henry and I restored it together, every beam, every lens. Margaret crossed her arms. Why announce this now, at Lily's engagement party? Why not wait for the will reading? Vincent's shoulders slumped. I found out last month at Henry's lawyer's office. He mentioned the Lighthouse wasn't in the estate. I knew what that meant. Clara got it. I thought, if I said it first, maybe it'd stick. Lily stepped forward, her voice trembling with anger. You tried to steal Mom's home, Uncle Vincent, at my engagement party. Ethan put a hand on her shoulder, but his eyes were fixed on Vincent, cold and assessing. Clara reached into the box, pulling out the envelope addressed to Vincent. Henry left this for you, she said, holding it out. I haven't opened it. He trusted you'd read it when the time came. Vincent hesitated, then took the envelope, his hands unsteady. He tore it open and read silently, his expression shifting from defiance to shame. He knew, he whispered, passing the letter to Margaret. Read it aloud. Everyone should hear. Margaret adjusted her glasses and began. Dear Vincent, if Clara's opened my tin box, it means you've tried to claim what isn't yours, or I'm gone, and the truth needs to come out. I've known your heart since we were boys. You chase what glitters, but you don't always see its cost. The Lighthouse belongs to Clara, who's loved it as I have. You never did. What you need isn't a place, but a purpose. I've left you $20,000 in a trust to start something that matters to you. Maybe that sailing school you talked about as a kid. Clara will keep the lighthouse door open, I'm sure, but your path is elsewhere. Find it. With love, Henry. The room was quiet, the weight of Henry's words settling over them. Vincent clutched the letter, his eyes distant. He saw through me even now. Lily wiped her eyes. Grandpa always did. Clara pulled out a small photo album from the box, filled with pictures of her and Henry at the lighthouse, but also of Vincent, younger, laughing with Henry on the cliffs, helping paint the keeper's cottage one rare summer he'd stayed. He kept these in his desk, she said softly. He never stopped hoping you'd come back. Vincent's voice broke. I messed up, Clara. I'm sorry. She nodded, not fully ready to forgive, but acknowledging his remorse. There's one more thing, she said, retrieving a key from the box. This opens Henry's desk in the lighthouse. There's something there for you. They walked to the lighthouse together, the fog parting slightly under the beam's steady sweep. Inside, Clara unlocked the desk, revealing a folder labeled Vincent. Inside were sketches of a sailboat Henry had designed years ago, with notes in Vincent's handwriting from their teenage years, dreaming of a sailing school. He kept this, Clara said. He believed in you, even when you didn't. Vincent traced the sketches, tears falling. I don't deserve this. Henry thought you did, Clara replied. He believed in second chances. So do I. She handed him a calendar. I've marked weekends. I'll be here for maintenance. The lighthouse could use your hands if you're willing. Vincent looked surprised. Even after this? The lighthouse is for family, Clara said. That's what Henry wanted. Weeks later, Vincent showed up on a chilly Saturday, toolbox in hand. They worked side by side, repairing the lantern room's weathered panels. As the sun set, painting the sea gold, Vincent spoke quietly. Henry gave you more than a lighthouse, Clara. He gave you his heart to keep us all together. Clara smiled, feeling Henry's presence in the steady pulse of the beacon. The lighthouse wasn't just a place. It was a promise to heal, to forgive, and to find a way forward together.